These are my Dana White Contender Series Week 2 predictions. In the first fight, it's a bantamweight fight between Billy Brand, and Cody Haddon. They're both one is 5-1 and one is 6-1. Billy Brand is the underdog at plus 145, and Cody is the favorite at minus 185. So Billy Brand is 5-1 with his only loss coming to a UFC contender in Peyton Talbot, and Cody Hayden both also has one loss coming to Steve Ercik in Eternal. So they both have a loss to a very good UFC fighter right now, which is rare to see on the Contender Series. Cody Haddon really gave Steve Ercik a tough fight. And Billy Brand, his fight with Peyton Talbot is on YouTube. It's a very good fight. You can go and watch it. I think both of them have very similar styles, but Billy Brand is more of a striker. He has a strong Muay Thai background, and I think that he can definitely win on the feet, but Cody Haddon is a very good wrestler, and I think at the end of rounds he can get those takedowns to secure the round, so I think it's going to be very pit for pat on the feet, and then Cody Haddon's going to get a takedown, and it's going to secure the fight. It's such an interesting fight to predict because they're both like very similar fighters, but I think the takedowns are going to be what wins the fight, and if Billy Brand can defend the takedowns, he's going to win, but if Cody Haddon can get them, he's going to win. So I think I'm going to have to go Cody Haddon. It's going to go 3 rounds. I don't think either of them have finishing potential against each other, so I'm going to have to go Cody Haddon by decision. The next fight comes in the middleweight division versus Cam Roasting and Torrence Finney. Cam Roasting is 8-2. He trains out of City Kickboxing in New Zealand. He's a very good kickboxer, but not that great of a wrestler. Torrence Finney should have been signed to the UFC a long time ago. He is 8-0, and he's definitely the favorite in this fight. He's like a beast of a human. Like you can see in the picture, he's absolutely jacked. After rewatching his fight on the Contender Series last year, I don't really know why he didn't get the contract. He absolutely dominated his fight and got a submission. And in his last fight, most recent fight, he got a KO against a decent veteran. And looking back at his Contender Series fight, I don't see him losing to Cam Roasting. He's just such an explosive wrestler. He kind of reminds me of like Joaquin Buckley and Michael Chandler. And Cam Roasting is just not that great of a wrestler. And I think Torrence Finney is just gonna like wrestle him like a. It's just gonna be like domination. I think it's gonna be a first or second round stoppage. Cameron Roasting just doesn't have the ground game to win. And the only way Cameron Roasting could win is he's a very good striker. He won like K1 tournaments over in Australia and New Zealand. And if he can manage to keep the fight on the feet, there is a chance of him winning. He just has to strike at range. But earlier in his career, he fought a guy with the same style as Torrence Finney and lost. So I don't see Torrence Finney losing, and I think he's going to be a good fighter in the UFC. In the next fight, it is in the bantamweight division between Cortavius Romeos and Michael Impetu. So Quatervius is 8-2 and the minus 400 favorite, and Michael is 12-6 and plus 270 underdog. Michael is a very good grappler, but he doesn't have the wrestling to get it to the ground. In a lot of his fights, he pulled guard, and the guys just chased after, and he got the submission from bottom where he reversed the position. Quatervius Ramos is a very good striker, as along with the wrestling, and he can defend takedowns. He can get the takedowns, but I think he's just going to keep it on the feet. On the feet, he has a really big advantage. He's a great striker with very high volume. Michael has a very low volume, and he's not that great of a striker. I think that Cortavius Ramos would just drown him with volume, and I could see him getting a second to third round finish just based off of the volume he has. I don't see a way that Michael can really win the fight because he doesn't have that good of takedowns, and Cortavius also has really good takedown defense. So I don't really see Michael finding a way to win the fight. The next fight is taking place at heavyweight, and it's Hugo Khan from Brazil versus Ravin Kivi from Russia. I don't think this is going to be a close fight at all. I think Kivi should be able to be better everywhere. He's the #1 heavyweight in the Western US for prospects on Tapology, and he's beat some former UFC fighters. He's won a fight on Dana White's Contender Series back in 2021 in the 3rd round by ground and pound. Hugo had one fight at a decently high level at 1FC. It kind of got dominated. I don't think he has high enough level skills to win. he's just a horrible striker. Like, he's a national champion in wrestling in Brazil, but he can't really find a way to implement his wrestling, which is interesting. I think Rivian should just be able to drown him. I think Rivian can wrestle against Hugo. Hugo's not a good MMA wrestler, not a good striker. I think Rivian's gonna get a KO and get his contract. And then on to the main event. It is Pat Pivlich of Canada versus Anders Gustafsson, who is Alexander Gustafsson's older brother, I mean. Pat Pivlock is 9-1. He's a plus 200 underdog, and Anderson Gustafsson's 10-2 and a minus 270 favorite. And I think this is definitely going to be a good fight. So both of these guys have KO potential. They just stand and bang. And Pat Pivlich's only loss comes after injury. He was fighting a really bad back injury or neck injury going into the fight. I think he should have pulled out. Anderson Gustafsson's just an absolute killer. I don't see him losing this fight. The only way that he could lose is in a lot of striking stages. He'll get in the pocket and maybe get clipped. And Pat Pivlich, all of his wins come by KO. But Anderson Gustafsson, he's the #1 middleweight in the Nordic region. And he has fought many very good fights. In his 2 losses, one's by split decision, and I think he won it. And the one's by unanimous. I think he definitely lost that one. I think Anderson's going to KO him. The only problem is that he could get clipped, but I don't think Pat could put him out because he just has a chin. So I think I have to go with Anderson Gustafsson in this fight. And those are